camera is on.
Welcome to Nights at the Round Table, a round table discussion on speculative fiction books and film. Hi everybody, and welcome to the final episode of Season 4 of Nights at the Round Table. Today we are discussing the book Ready Player One. And I'm going to start with general impressions of the book. I'm sitting here with Martin and with Sam. And Sam, I'd like to start with you.
It was fun. And as somebody who has a love of the 80s, there was some good nostalgia. I really appreciated a lot of the references, especially the music references, as somebody who has a strong love of 80s music, both good and bad 80s music. I enjoyed the references. I enjoyed the fun play on the 80s and all of the references, and there's something to be said about referencing a decade where if I go, shoot, I don't remember that, I can Google the answer, versus, where did they reference this in the book? Shoot. You know, I can go Google it and go, oh yeah, now I remember. So I thought it was fun. I thought it was a enjoyable, fun read. So cool. I had fun. Martin?
I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was a neat book. I normally read historical fiction, and so it was neat to get kind of out of that genre for a little while and go for a really enjoyable romp through a world that to me was fun, was interactive, that if you wanted to go out and Google any of the things that they were talking about, it was an easy way to go get a backstory on some of the world building that had happened, but also talking a lot about video games and how we portray our ideal selves online and kind of this image that we put out for our online world versus the real world and how those blend. I thought was a really neat take between the two worlds.
Cool. Yeah, for me this book was fine. It was alright. I wasn't particularly thrilled with it. I wasn't upset to have read it. It was a fun read. I'm not sad I read it, but I mean, I could have not read this book and still been fine. It's just a fun, light, fluffy read, and I take some issue with some of the transphobia in the book that made me just raise my eyebrows a little bit too hard.
What part did you find was transphobic? Because I didn't get that vibe at all from the book.
Really? So the main character was like, promise me that you are a woman, have always been a woman, have never undergone gender reassignment surgery or something along those lines. And I'm like, yeah, okay, because her biggest if a trans woman is a woman, then she's a woman and it wouldn't matter, right? But he was like, no, you're not allowed to have ever been masculine in any way, shape, or form. I'm like, I'm not okay with that. And then in the end, it turned out that Artemis's biggest thing was that she had a wine birthmark on her face and she was really upset about it. If this book really wanted to get my praise, it would have been, actually, yes, I am a trans woman, and then the main character would be like, you know what? You're still a woman and I still love you. But no, she was embarrassed about a birthmark, and it pissed me off.
That's fair. I guess, yeah, I just kind of skipped over that section and glossed over it fast, because it is
it struck me right away.
I took that less as transphobia and more as because their entire relationship develops online. Mm-hmm. And when you're online, you can be anything you want. And when someone tells you, hey, I'm a woman, you're like, we're online. You could be a 30-year-old dude. You could be a 50-year-old dude. So I took it more as a mistrust of, I pretend to be someone else online. Why should I trust you when you tell me this is who you are? Yeah. Less as a transphobic jive. It was slightly... Yeah. If you look at it that way, I can see where it comes off that way. But when I was in the course of reading the book, I took it as a mistrust of, do we actually know who anybody is online?
No, there is that.
And so that's more how I took it. But
the lesson could have been way better than, oh, you're still pretty even though you have a wine birthmark on your face. Like, really?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Really?
But let's be honest, Artemis is the weakest character in the book. I think that she's a garbage fire that Parsifal should have just left behind. That's fine.
Really? Wow. Because I'm on her side.
Oh,
wow.
I'm 100% like, I thought she was a trash character. I was like, when she broke up, I was like, that's good. Now the Sixers can just, like, revenge send her address to the Sixers, and then that'll be fine. No, it's not cool to arrange for your ex-girlfriend to be murdered, but...
Yeah, don't dox people.
Yeah.
It could result in their death.
Yeah.
Like, but even that, still, the whole relationship could have gone on without him losing his way. Like, that really bugs me when they write love stories and then somebody falls in love and they forget everything else as if life doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And that, you might be I might be going about this the wrong way because I've never actually fallen so hard in love that I would forgotten everything and would abandon everything. But this is the quest that would
my wife would argue that I still forget everything now, so I think it's because we're deeply in love.
This is the quest that would save the world they're all so attached to. It would beyond my understanding that somebody would just forget all that because of some girl they met online.
Agreed.
I guess
Eric.
I'm gonna lay out of they're supposed to be relatively younger people.
Yeah, but just because you're young doesn't mean you don't realize what's at stake.
That being said, people in general can be kind of stupid. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
The average person people don't make good life choices as a general rule.
No, absolutely, and that's
Look
why
at Black
I find...
Friday sales. I mean, people make bad life choices all the time.
Yeah, some people.
Yeah. But this is also, like you say, is that relationship to me is the weakest part.
Yeah.
Because it is the manufacturing. And one is Parsifal totally loses his way, and then Artemis goes, I can't be with you because I need to concentrate so hard on this one thing.
Like, you couldn't do birth. Like, that's
exactly. Like, it's really, or like, hey, we can't do this both together. Like, that's why, like, of this book, the most unnecessary part is Artemis's relationship with Parsifal. They could have dropped her, as far as I'm concerned, and that would have been fine.
That's fair. I really actually liked the relationship between H and Parsifal.
I liked that relationship a lot. I love the friendship between H and Parsifal.
Well, and I also like that when they actually meet in person, they address this is really weird to see you as physically see you. But I like how they immediately adapt to it and keep going. Yeah. And I like that bond. And I like the sass in H.
Oh, God, yeah.
That brings me joy.
Yeah.
I was really confident reading the book that H was going to turn out to be a Sixer double agent or something. I thought that's...
the book better.
Well, no, see, I was happy that H wasn't a Sixer double agent. Because
H is so likable?
Yeah, H is so likable, H is a good person, and I thought, here's the betrayal of the best friend being set up from square one. And the fact they didn't do that. No, we've still been best friends. Hey, we had a conflict. And not even a bad conflict, just so, hey, we've kind of grown apart, but then I'm still going to send you over something useful, and hey, you still sent something to me because I was, we're even now. Like, that was... Literally
the only trope this book did not use.
They did. It's just, you gotta look at it from the other side.
Yeah. Okay, so I think this book is really fun. But a lot of my problems stem from, and I'm pretty sure that this was deliberate, but it's still not an excuse. It follows, like, the ridiculous 80s trope of corporation bad, law enforcement completely useless. Hero saves the day after a big battle, but only after the big battle does the FBI do anything about all the videos and shit that's been released. It's been a long time between that battle and the release of the videos, and only after the hero wins the day does the FBI step up and do their job. It drives me insane, because you can have a really excellent adventure story where the hero wins the day without making law enforcement or the military complete, utter idiots. I'm so done with that trope. I'm so done. I'm so done with it. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, I think so. You have to look at the author's background, and he's a screenwriter, and he came out and he said, I'm going to put together an idea that I'm going to turn around and sell to Sony for $1 billion, and it's going to make me rich.
But I expect more of my screenwriters now than what I expect from the 80s.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
It's not an excuse anymore. It's not.
See,
but If you read it for 80s nostalgia, it delivered 80s nostalgia.
That's just it, though. It relies on the nostalgia factor to carry the book, and that's simply not good enough. It's lazy storytelling.
Oh, I read it and enjoyed it, so I guess it kind of worked.
I liked watching, Mecha Godzilla fight somebody else. Oh, that was
Fucking Mega Man.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. All the Gunters coming in with their eclectic collection of ships to fight the Sixer army. That's pretty awesome.
I liked that final battle, but all the way through, I'm like, has the FBI not gotten this guy yet? Could his robot not just stop mid-fight, like what's the Japanese character's name?
Oh, yes, it was not Shoto's brother.
Shoto's brother.
Brother, yeah.
Could that not happen? And then I wouldn't be so pissed at this book. Could something happen? Like, really?
Yeah.
Properly? Please? Also, what were the Japanese police doing? Like, okay, so here's the thing. The internet is ruthless. If they spot something slightly off, they will attack it with everything they've got. And there are smart people online that will dig up all kinds of stuff. In that fight where Shoto lost his brother, the internet would have been on that like a swarm. And they would have proven some weird connection, which if they weren't completely useless, law enforcement would then start looking into. Oh look, this character's robot stopped functioning in the game at the same time as this Japanese man plunged to his death. There must be a connection.
Yeah. If that ruined it for you, that's fine.
That's what I mean, though. It's a trope that I'm so done with.
There is some okay, so the internet has advanced so far past what law enforcement is designed to address that for the most part law enforcement isn't capable of addressing internet crimes. Like, up until recently, the concept of stealing someone's identity online, revenge porn, all this stuff was not addressable with current laws. And even to this day,
is not current laws.
But it's set in 2044, I believe. And
everything's moved over to the cyber world.
But look at how long it takes a law to get passed. I mean, let's pick on the States for a minute, because it's set in the States, so I'm going to pick on the States because they're an easy target right now. It takes so long for them to pass a law, and then it takes even longer for someone to understand what the hell they just passed. There's no way they've caught up by 2044. I'd be impressed if they passed a budget by 2044. Like,
I think
seriously,
though, too, is
no!
part of how this gets set up is there's a dystopian future that's happening. So, people are getting murdered all the time. Like, H's armored van that she drives in between sites, and they don't want to stop because, I don't know, I think they make a reference to the cannibals. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, I just assume that this, what they call people that live in Columbus for a little while. But, hey,
bad.
You may have a potential where real-world crime, and as Sam was saying, is cybercrime, are seen as two different groups or two different pieces that just don't come together, or that you just don't have a real law enforcement agency anymore.
But in a competition of this scale, there would be such an uproar, somebody would have to do something.
You'd be impressed.
Well,
but law enforcement isn't... so if you look at a police academy, they're not trained in cyber crimes. They're not trained to address that
But
either.
even that, all the Gunters don't want to tell anybody else where things are, so nobody's streaming their feeds. Which means when Shoto's brother gets killed, there's literally nobody watching that. They've deliberately gone dark. So all they know is Shoto's story where, hey...
Well, no, they hadn't, because the Sixers had given away the position.
Yeah, but the Shoto's not streaming that, and unless the Sixers are streaming that, there's nobody watching that death. In the game world.
I'll have to reread it now to find out if that is accurate.
So one of the things I really appreciated about this book was some of the subtler references. If you looked at the gates, the first instance had 256 identical instances of it. The second one had 512, and if you notice and look at that, it's bits. It's going up and scaling in bits, which is a very nerdy reference. But as an engineer, I appreciated it.
Yeah, no, I didn't pick up on that at all. I probably would have enjoyed it if it had hit.
But as somebody who works in the tech industry and is around that sort of stuff every day, that's something I picked up on immediately. Yeah. But there were some things where I remember talking to Martin. He's like, "Did you pick up on this?" I was like, "Nope. Let me go back and check." Oh, I guess so. Oops. So you pick up what's relevant to you.
Yeah, this is the first time you ever told me about the gates. I have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
We
Surprise!
don't talk at home. Good lord.
So I do have a lot of issues with this book, but it was fun, and I really did enjoy how right at the end, all of the Gunters, there was an expectation that some of them would just be there to watch the world burn, basically, but they all jumped in on the fight. And
Yeah.
I appreciated that. That last battle was really fun to see in my head as I was reading. So that was well done. It really nagged me that I'm like, why hasn't the FBI got this fucker yet? Like, come on guys, step it up.
Yeah, there's...
Corruption?
Question mark?
They
Like,
got disbanded
I mean-
by Trump?
Even at the end of the movie, or sorry, at the end of the book, I mean, nothing is really resolved other than 3 people win a bunch of money.
and one guy gets the
Yeah.
keys to the kingdom, basically.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. And he chooses to share it with 2 other people. That's about it. Like, you know, the world is still crap. It's still a dystopian future. There's still cannibals in Cleveland. Like, you
I thought
know,
it was Columbus.
whatever.
C words. Everyone
And they're close together. Like, it's not even like they're that far apart.
The hatred of Ohio continues.
Like, yeah, like, they only built their headquarters there for cheap real estate.
Yeah, that's Ohio.
So, you know, like, there is definite problems with the storyline where if you want to get in and really examine it, absolutely. Like I say, is Parzival's like, hey, I'm going to build a rocket ship and get out of here with my 50 best friends. And you're like, that's not a very good resolution to anything.
Which is why I was hoping H would win.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they would all die.
Yeah.
That's fair.
You know, I thought it was neat, though, too, is that you did have everyone go in and how tied you were to your online personality and...
Also, online friendships. That's something that I like addressing because they're no less true or real just because they happen online instead of face to face. I have a number of friends that I've never met online, and we send each other stuff. Like, we're genuine friends. So, yeah, I liked how it talked about online friendships being
just
strong.
hanging out in H's personal room. And you look at it, even games like World of Warcraft, where you have like these massive multiplayer online games, there is a huge social faction of, hey, we're just going to meet up here and let's talk about, and we're just going to have a chat, and we're going to have some fun, and it has nothing to do with the questing side of it.
Yeah,
And
that's the brotherhood between Shoto and
yeah.
Dayato.
Well, and I
It's
think
an
that
example.
resonated so much with today's current youth, specifically because they're hovered over and they're helicoptered, except for when they're online.
Yeah.
And if you're a kid today, like when I was growing up, Facebook didn't really become a thing until I transferred to university. MySpace was kind of a thing, but it never, your online presence didn't really take off for me as a kid until university. Kids these days start at 10 or 12 and they're online. They're on Instagram and
I
Facebook
don't even think
and
it's
Twitter.
kids. I think it's
But-
adults of our age are forming real connected bonds to people online that they've met, getting together in
that's what
chat
I'm-
rooms, doing events together, watching a movie online. You look at just streamers. Like, people want to tune in and just listen and be a part of that. And, this is the biggest portion of our population that games is people that aren't kids. They're adults now.
But that's what I mean.
And
is
so...
but that's what I mean is even if forming these online friendships gives people, kids and adults, the opportunity to be themselves unmonitored.
Yeah.
And
Well-
especially kids, if you've got so much restriction,
Well,
you have an option
But-
to be yourself and, hey, I like this, but I can't say this.
And that's where I would take an issue with it. And this is what I thought the book did very well, is that yourself that you present online, nobody is their real self. Parzival is ripped, he's got his regular stuff, he goes up, he gets all the armor, he's all blinged out.
To be fair,
Artemis
though,
has wiped off the wine mark, H has changed sex and race.
Yeah.
So
Race.
everybody is changing who they are, is presenting a different version of how you see them to be more likable. And I thought that was excellent, that meeting in real life, everyone was not when Parzival gets dragged out of his apartment And even though he's been doing his calisthenics in the morning, he describes himself as like a naked mole rat who hasn't seen the sun. He's all pasty and white. He's all shaven. He's used Nair all over his body. He's in a hoodie. Like, he's just gross. But, like, he gets dragged out and, like, yeah, it's not good. But, you know, that's fine. From the beginning, he was always set up as an overweight guy. Even when he gets into shape, or just better shape, as they describe in the book, he's never really that good. But his online character is made out to be awesome. He's doing promos, he's doing videos, and that's, like, I thought it was really cool that you could have real friendships, but the real you was also not being portrayed in that. And so it was very neat to me to see that dichotomy.
But the personalities of the people didn't change as much from online to in person.
No.
Yeah.
The physical appearance changed, but their ability to be, hey, I'm snarky and
I
loud.
would love my personality with, like, Colin Firth's body. That would be awesome. I don't know, he popped into mine. Channing Tatum, maybe? I don't know. I'd take them all.
Keep going. Alright.
No. But I think virtual escapism is, you know, the world outside is so bad that if I jump into this online world, I can escape where I am, and I can go to the Green Hills, and, you know, I looked at it just...
Also, to an extent, escape who you are.
Yeah. But, like, I looked at it just when they're doing the education, and the future of education being online, I thought that resonated. Like, being able to get a lesson on ancient Egypt, and then you went to King Tut's, you know, court. Frig, that'd be awesome. Now, there's a whole bunch of other problems with that, of now you present false imagery, and, but whatever, that's a whole different discussion. I thought that was an awesome premise for education.
That would be kind of cool, just take a VR tour of ancient Rome.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you want to learn about something? Here's your course on ancient Rome. Or, hey, you want to learn about math? What's the best way you learn about that? Boom. Go sit in your stellar constellation and move numbers together. Like, you know, the dance floor where you can go and you can be anything and you can float. But then Parzival talking about it, like, you never quite feel human. The you know, the contact, even though your haptic suit tries, it's not perfect when he gets the sex robot. And, yeah, maybe your hero shouldn't have gotten a sex robot, but I think that if you lived alone in an apartment, you probably own a sex robot. And he's like, I tried it. It's just not the same.
Could you imagine taking that out to recycling?
Well, you can't put it on Kijiji.
I mean,
No, that's
there's a buyer for anything.
And that's what's wrong with the online world.
One used sex robot.
Gently used.
Yeah. Didn't feel real. But I like that he broke up with, or Artemis broke up with him, and he, resorted to a sex robot that made him more human to me than a lot of other people who've been like, the only thing I did was pine away my days. And
but he also pined away.
Well, he also did, but he also bought a sex robot, which was pretty good.
I'm sure.
I appreciate seeing that your characters are flawed and that they go through real human problems. Like not having a good sex robot, apparently.
Is that a problem for you? Cause
no, we're married. It hasn't been a problem for at least 5 years.
Oh my la 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 la.
Anyway, sometimes watching an X-Wing fight, the ship from Firefly, the Serenity, that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, that I did enjoy it. There were a lot of references in there that I also I liked. It's a fun, light read. I just don't think it's worth the hype that it's been getting. I think it leans on the nostalgia factor, and that is letting it get away with all manner of storytelling sins, and I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, I think that, you are right. There's a ton of tropes that are problematic in this book. That said, reading it, and you come across a line like, oh, this is from Matthew Broderick's War Games, and you're like, oh, cool. Like, that...
I do have to say that I liked that the original creator of of Oasis, one of his favourite movies was Lady Hawk.
Yeah.
Because it used to be one of my favourite movies as a kid, although I've watched it recently as an adult. We reviewed it. Not so much of a fan now. Would love to see a remake, but yeah, I appreciated that sort of reference.
It's a good book. It was fun. If I was looking for a book to somehow change my worldview or, I don't know, blow my mind, no. But was it a fun, light read, and I enjoyed it, and I had fun, and I got through it and went, yeah, it was a good book.
See, I got through, I'm like, yeah, that was fun. But then all the problems are like gnawing in my brain.
You know what? But if you want a fun, hey, I'm at the cottage at Christmas, or I'm on a beach, and I just want something fun to read, it's a great book. If you're looking for something to change your worldview and blow your mind, this isn't the book to pick up for you. So it depends on what you want.
Yeah.
I want a TIE fighter to shoot at Voltron. Like, that's...
There you go!
Yeah.
This will give that to you.
If you're the sort of person who has been in geek culture, you want to see all those mashups, the what-ifs, like... It's the ultimate what-if movie of... Yeah, I'm going to throw Lord of the Rings magic, and I can only cast lightning bolts in here, or this is a tech-only zone, or here... You want to put a wizard against a future soldier? Have fun. Here you go. Like,
lightning bolt,
yeah,
lightning bolt.
Yeah, here I throw fireball and a stasis spell, and he's machine gunning at me. Super cool. But, is it narratively the tightest story ever? No. Is it fun? Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm excited for the movie. I really want to see the visual effects of how they did it, especially that last battle. I really want to see how they visually do it.
Yeah.
I think the movie's going to be a total disappointment.
Probably, but I'm going to go see it anyway.
I think visually, the movie's going to be fantastic. Just like this book visually would be fantastic as you're reading it through. I think narratively, it's going to fail, because this book does not hold up narratively.
I think that if Disney owned this, then they own the IP for everything, and Ready Player One would be way better than the IP that Sony owns, which is like nothing anymore. Like,
Okay, so star rating. I guess that counts for our final thoughts. Star rating.
As a fun, not think about it book, it's a solid 4. It's a great read. I enjoyed it. As an overall, of all the books I read, it's probably closer to a 2.5 or a 3.
Yeah.
But I love 80s nostalgia. I wanted a read that wasn't very intense, and it delivered, and I enjoyed it.
Excellent. Martin?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5. It's fun. It's cool. You get to listen to Voltron and everything else. I'm in. I was sold. Don't dig below the surface. It doesn't stand up to that. Just skate over that.
Yeah, because I do want something a little more solid from my books, even in the light fluffy reads, I guess. I'm giving this one a 2.5. It was a fun read, but the writing wasn't profound. Not profound. The writing wasn't beautiful enough to carry me away, and there were just too many problems with it for me, storytelling-wise, for me to just overlook it. A lot of them really just gnawed at my brain as I was reading it. So yeah, 2.5. It is a fun read. I do recommend it. Like, you won't be. I'm not sorry I read it. I just don't think it's worth the hype that it's getting.
No, I think Sam summed it up best. You know, it's if you want a light, fluffy read, yeah, awesome. If you're hoping to realign the stars,
there's better ones. Yeah. Ooh. Let's see, and the next book, I think we're doing this in the next season?
Yeah, next season.
Next season, first book is Dead House Gates by Stephen Erickson.
So that's the next book in the Malison Book of the Fallen series. It's not a secret by now that I am a huge fangirl for this series. It is a thick book, so we're getting a month off to read this one. So get reading so that you can complain about how we missed all of the important parts of the story when we review it. So yeah, this is it. This is the end of Season 4. Thanks so much for sticking with us for this long, and we'll see you again in the new year in Season 5 of Knights at the Round Table. If you have any book suggestions or movie suggestions, leave them in the comments down below. You can also yell at us in the comments down below. We're probably not listening, but do it anyway if it makes you feel better. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks very much, guys. Bye!
Take care.
Do you want me to...
Starting! Oh, would you like... What the fuck is happening?